Much Governor Rod Blagojevich defying those who are clamoring for him to step down. But today, the Speaker of the Illinois House announcing that he's taking the first step forward, this is Mike Madigan I'm talking about, to impeaching this embattled Democrat governor. Now, this is happening while the RNC is trying to make some political hay out of the governor's scandal linking Mr. Obama to Blagojevich's alleged schemes in a new web video. We're going to check out some of that. Let's bring in our panel. Kevin Madden is a former communications director to Mitt Romney's campaign. Scott Mendelhoff is a former U.S. attorney in Chicago. And Doug Schoen is a Democratic pollster and former advisor to President Clinton. Let's start by taking a look at a piece of this ad. It's a web ad that the RNC has put out trying to make a link. Let's take a look.
A reliable source familiar with the investigation is telling me tonight that there were indeed conversations between Barack Obama's chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, and the governor himself about candidates who might be filling the seat vacated by Barack Obama. And those conversations may have been taped.
He's been sitting on the sidelines of just about everything until now, and you just cannot, what are they thinking? You cannot sit out a story this big about your own Senate seat in your own state.
You know, Kevin Madden, I'm still not seeing anything in any of this that points toward there being any problem with Rahm Emanuel having a conversation with these folks about who might take over the president-elect's seat. Do you see anything so far that leads you to believe that anything's being withheld here?
Well, I think there are a lot of questions that are unanswered still, and the investigation is still pending. And you know, this investigation is probably like a loose thread on an old sweater. The more you pull it, the more it unravels. So I think what Republicans are trying to do, and the RNC is being very vigilant and making sure that they do keep prodding and asking these questions, that they do keep making sure that that reporters, that observers are keeping an eye on this and the connections that may or may not lead back to Obama and his team. I mean, the most important thing is that taxpayers, that voters, that citizens get answers to a lot of these questions that are still outstanding.
Yeah, Doug Schoen, you know, it does raise that question. I mean, you know, why haven't they come forward and said this is the nature of the conversations that Rahm Emanuel, if he did what he had, this is exactly what was said. We do know that there's a tape. We don't know that there's a tape. Right. Why not come forward with all of this?
Well, I think they should, Martha. I think that there's nothing wrong on the surface with Rahm Emanuel, who is an Illinois representative, having conversations with a Democratic governor who succeeded him in Congress. You'd expect it, but that being said, they haven't been forthcoming. I think part of the concern is legal jeopardy. I think part of it is getting all their ducks in order, or their stories straight, but they have to, and it's got to be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Scott Mendelhoff, Kevin Madden put this in a very interesting way in terms of the sweater unraveling. But one of the big questions that I'm hearing from a lot of folks out there is why they stopped this investigation when they did. You know, so far it feels to me that what we have is the governor and his people sort of making these offers of quid pro quo. You know, if you give us money for fundraising, we'll offer you this. What we don't have is the other side of that equation, whether or not anybody took them up on it. Did they cut this investigation off too quickly and hastily?
No, but before I get to that, I would add that one reason that the president-elect may not be addressing this publicly is that it's a pending grand jury investigation, and I don't think that he or Representative Emanuel may want to appear to be in any way affecting that. So they may be keeping their cards close to their vest to keep from pretrial publicity. Now, as to the state of affairs with respect to the investigation, obviously, we can only speculate as to why they stopped it when they did, but it's pretty clear to me that there are probably two reasons. One, the undercover tapes that have been made public so far reveal that Blagojevich and his people were starting to take steps to avoid the electronic surveillance by having by Blagojevich telling his people, have one-on-one conversations, don't talk over the phone, etc. So the government was going to lose control of what was going on. And secondly, the government has an obligation beyond just trying to convict a corrupt governor, and that is they have to worry about whether if they let this corrupt governor name somebody to the Senate, whether that will, in effect, disenfranchise part of the electorate in Illinois, because that person will be effectively under a cloud or worse for an extended period of time.
I'm struck by 2 points listening to you speak, and one is that there's no indication that anybody stopped talking as a result of his admonishment for them to do just that. And second, there's no indication that he, he could be still making an effort to follow through with this Senate appointment if that's what he really wanted to do. And if he did follow through with that Senate appointment, what would be stopping folks from saying, look, now we have all this information, we have to reconsider this Senate appointment? And I want to get Doug's quick thoughts on that.
Well, my sense is exactly that. There was no overt act for a conspiracy. Blagojevich can go forward if he so chooses with a special election or with an appointment. I think they made a decision to cut it off too soon, too quickly, for reasons that are not at all apparent yet, and jeopardized the possibility potentially of convicting Blagojevich.
And is that something you want to know more about, Kevin Madden, before I let you go? Where this investigation might have led, and do you think that it was ended too abruptly?
Well, look, I think that that the feds and the prosecutors, they felt they had enough information in order to file a criminal complaint and in order to prosecute those charges and actually get a conviction. That's why they brought the charges. I think that one of the other points that they probably considered was the fact that if he did go through with this appointment, that it would be hyper politicized, and whoever was therefore named to the office could create a very important legislative crisis.
All right,
and
Scott,
that's something they probably sought to avoid.
Sorry, Kevin, just really quickly, Scott Mendelhoff, because I'm pretty much out of time. Why is this not an indictment? This is just a complaint. Why wouldn't you wait until you had enough on him to bring forward a full indictment in this case?
Because they were concerned about him naming somebody and creating the constitutional crisis we just heard about.
All right.
They now have a month to be able to return the indictment.
All right, Scott Mendelhoff, very interesting. Thank you very much, Kevin Madden and Doug Schoen. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Both you guys here. Thanks. We'll see you soon.
Well, a party cruise off the coast of California.